Bardstown, Kentucky, July 3, 2015. It was supposed to be a summer evening like any other. Fireworks lit up the sky as families prepared for the 4th of July holiday. But inside one household, a storm was brewing, one that would change a family forever. Crystal Rogers, a 35-year-old mother of 5, vanished without a trace. She had been last seen with her longtime boyfriend, Houck, at his family's farm. That evening would be the last time anyone saw her alive. 2 days later, her family reported her missing. Soon after, her car was discovered abandoned on the side of the Bluegrass Parkway. Inside, investigators found her purse, her keys, and her cell phone, objects no mother of 5 would simply leave behind. The eerie stillness inside the vehicle felt less like a clue and more like a scream left behind in silence. From the very beginning, suspicion pointed toward the man she was last with, Houck. Yet, the case would twist, stall, and nearly go cold for years, leaving a grieving family desperate for answers and a town haunted by rumors. The reveal didn't come in one dramatic moment. Instead, it unfolded like a puzzle with missing pieces, stretching over nearly a decade. First, there was Houck's demeanor. Those closest to Crystal described him as controlling and manipulative, a man who liked to keep a tight grip on his world. Detectives noticed his lack of urgency after her disappearance. While Crystal's family flooded the streets with flyers and organized search parties, Brooks appeared strangely detached. He didn't join the searches, didn't plead publicly for her safe return. Then came whispers. A former employee testified years later that Houck wanted Rogers gone. And even more chilling, that an associate, Lawson, bragged about burying her with a skid steer. It was a phrase that would haunt prosecutors and investigators alike, conjuring an image of a cold, calculated disposal. And yet, no body was ever found. Without Crystal's remains, prosecutors faced a monumental challenge. But the deeper they dug, the more evidence surfaced of a conspiracy far larger than a single man acting alone. The investigation into Crystal Rogers' disappearance became one of Kentucky's most infamous cold cases, with Bardstown quickly earning the grim nickname, the most mysterious town in America. For Crystal's family, it was more than mystery. It was agony. Her father, Tommy Ballard, became obsessed with finding the truth. He organized searches, followed leads, and pressed investigators to dig deeper. But his determination came at a cost. In 2016, just 1 year after his daughter vanished, Tommy himself was killed. Shot in the chest while hunting with his grandson, his death was ruled suspicious. Many believed it was no coincidence, but rather a message. Whoever took Crystal wanted to silence the man who refused to stop looking. The Ballard family was shattered yet again, now mourning both father and daughter. Still, they never gave up. Years passed. Leads went cold. Rumors spread through Bardstown like wildfire. The town carried the weight of multiple unsolved murders, but the Rogers case always stood at the center. For nearly a decade, it seemed the truth might never surface. Then, in 2023, a breakthrough. Investigators gathered enough evidence to finally arrest Houck for the murder of Crystal Rogers. The arrest reignited hope in Bardstown. But the case didn't stop there. Soon after, Lawson and Steve Lawson were also charged in connection with the crime. Men accused of conspiring with Houck to cover up the killing. The courtroom became the stage for years of pain, secrets, and whispers to finally be laid bare. What drove Houck to allegedly kill the mother of his child? Prosecutors argued it boiled down to control and fear of losing it. Crystal and Brooks shared a young son. Their relationship, however, was strained and increasingly unstable. Prosecutors suggested Houck wanted to avoid a messy custody battle, one that might tarnish his reputation and strip him of control over his child. For a man described as prideful and calculating, the idea of Crystal leaving and taking their son with her was unthinkable. To him, prosecutors argued, removing her wasn't just an option. It was the only way to secure his future. But Houck didn't act alone. Testimony revealed that Steve Lawson, a family associate, approached a man named Charlie Girdley, saying Houck wanted Crystal gone. And Lawson later confided in others, chillingly boasting that he would bury her with a skid steer. The motive wasn't passion. It wasn't sudden rage. It was deliberate, cold, and carefully planned. The ending, though, was not the one Crystal's family longed for. They wanted justice, but they also wanted to bring her home. Nearly a decade later, her body has still never been found. In 2025, after years of silence, rumors, and speculation, the verdicts were finally handed down. Brooks Houck, guilty of murder. Joseph Lawson, guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence. Steve Lawson, guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with evidence. It was a monumental breakthrough in one of Kentucky's most haunting mysteries. For the Ballard family, it was bittersweet. They finally had accountability, but the hole left by Crystal's absence and by Tommy's unsolved murder could never be filled. The convictions marked the end of one chapter, but not the story itself. Crystal's remains remain missing, leaving one haunting question. Where is she? The case drew national attention, inspiring documentaries and a Peacock series. But behind the headlines lies a grieving family that waited nearly a decade for the truth, only to be met with justice incomplete. Crystal Rogers' story is not just about murder. It's about a family's relentless fight for answers, about a town overshadowed by mystery, and about the chilling reality that sometimes evil hides in plain sight. The disappearance of Crystal Rogers has become more than a case file. It's a warning, a reminder that even in tight-knit communities, darkness can linger just beneath the surface. For the people of Bardstown, the echoes of that July night in 2015 will never fade. And for Crystal's children, who grew up without their mother, the trial's conclusion may have provided answers, but not peace. The story of Crystal Rogers is a chilling testament to love lost, to a family broken, and to justice delayed but not denied. Yet, as long as her body remains unfound, one truth endures. This is a mystery that still isn't fully solved.